back to ESPN's coverage of US soccer, brought to you by Volkswagen. Ian Dark and Taylor Trauman with you today. We're coming to you live from the BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston, Texas, with the US taking on Chile. It's 1-1 at half-time. The big news so far here, though, apart from the goals and the excellence of the game we've been watching, is an injury to Christian Pulisic in the first half after his goal, a quad injury. We're told he's come off as a precaution.
But watch this skip. Right after this ball's played out, he skips and then immediately goes to Christian Roldan and says he can't take the corner. So it was right around this part of the game where you started to see him kind of limper around the field and kind of not get into anything. It's just been a difficult 12 months. And remember, he just played a part in Dortmund's last game coming into this, right? Last couple games. So you felt like he was turning the corner and going to finish the last part of the season on a high going into the Gold Cup. Big concerns for Greg Berhalter that both Weston McKennie and Christian Pulisic have left the injury.
Yeah, not to mention for their clubs as well. Let's hope that's nothing much. And it is just precautionary, and he'll be okay in a few days. Remember, there will be substitutions in this second half. There'll be none so far, though, for the US. And the halftime team talk might have been the most important that Greg Berhalter's had to deliver yet, because this team have not been able to provide the constant threat that he wants to be on the front foot. This time, they've had to cope with other problems.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, Ian, is it's also assessment of Greg Berhalter, right? So this is the first halftime where he actually needs to make some real adjustments. So the first 15, 20 minutes before subs ruin the flow of the friendly, you're going to get some insight into that.
I wonder whether Chile will actually make that many substitutions, because their coach needs a result, needs a win here.
Oh, at halftime, he warmed up 20 players as if they were playing. I mean, what was that?
The fullest scale halftime warm-up I think I've ever seen. It was full scale.
Apparently, Chile brought 50 players.
It is a very, very big bench, all available as well. Here's Aranguiz. 24 strong there, squad. Vidal let that run. Valdez's shot blocked. Pazzo to play it back again. Chile, the 9 times World Cup finalists. Only Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay with a better record of making the finals from South America than them. Pazzo again has had a good game, highlighted by his goal to Maripan. And then Jara, much travelled. I remember him in the England with West Bromwich Albion and Nottingham Forest. That's a loose ball, though, from Jara. US could be in business here. Jassizades, not quite right for Corey Baird. Well,
what a tackle from the referee.
The referee on Roldan, who went flying. A lovely little cameo. Here's Baird. See the idea, but didn't get it quite right. You're going to bend one, it didn't bend. Gary Medel to bring it out. And Vidal, who's featured in a Champions League final in his career for Juventus. He's got through 2 challenges there. Played a good ball, Castillo. Towards Vidal, who made sure that got all the way to Opazzo. This time doesn't get anything like the quality of volley that we saw the first time from him. Let's go down to Seb again.
Yeah, guys, a little insight into the team talk from Greg Berhalter. 2 things he really wants to watch in the second half. Sebastian Lletget, Gyasi Zardes. He wants them to focus on cutting off passes from the Chilean defense, so keep an eye on those 2 off the ball. The other thing was quicker restarts, throw-ins, set pieces, etc. Anything of that. Why Berhalter believes that switch, that diagonal ball in behind that he talks about so much, is on against this Chilean team.
Here's Areola for the US. There's plenty of space, and they didn't really get that right. It was an important challenge from Pavez. Yedlin's crossfield ball. Yedlin, one of the survivors of the 2014 World Cup. Cut out by Medel. Is that going to go for a corner? No, it won't. Chile provide a good physical test as well.
Well, that's one of the things that stood out to me in the first half is majority, you can look at the possession numbers and say one thing, okay, 65-35, fine. But it's also the physical challenges and the physical battles. More often than not, Chile won those.
That's all part of it as well.
But Ian, that's also why if the United States has an opportunity to play in Copa America next year, they have to do it. These are the kinds of games you have to be tested against. And with all due respect, it's not the Trinidads and the Jamaicas of the world, even though the United States struggled in CONCACAF, and I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek. But the reality is, to really progress on the world level, you've got to play against these teams that not only are physically up to the challenge, but technically and tactically, they're going to challenge you in multiple ways.
And the coach knows that as well, doesn't he? He's coached in the United States and in Europe, and played in the United States and Europe, and played in 2 World Cups as well. Maripan with a good run, getting past Roldan. Aranguiz. Opazo. Bradley left something on Aranguiz there. He wanted a word with the Jamaican referee, who wasn't really that interested, frankly. Lovely surface here in Houston, in this sports-mad city and the Lone Star State. Opazo. Lovely piece of play from Charles Aranguiz. Opazo's got the better of Yedlin there. It wasn't the strongest of challenges from the captain tonight. The US having to get everybody back behind the ball here. Maripan, it's only his 15th cap, the Alaves player.
Just go to this. This is what Greg Berhalter's talking about, is the ability for Chile to play between the lines in these areas. That's not good enough from Giazzi Zardes. And so while you look at a defensive shape and that pressure, and at halftime, he's telling Sebastian Salazar on the sideline that it's on Zardes and Leggett. That's the first line of pressure you have to, if you don't get that, then Chile's going to play right between 2 lines of you, and now the game opens up.
Harder spreads it wide. Isla inside towards Vidal. Gonzalez went up with him. Tim Reams lost out, and well recovered by Gonzalez to get that away. The US just looking stretched back there, having to keep maximum concentration, because Chile are back on song here. Valdez. On the pitch, they've got the players who are 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in their all-time appearance list. Number 1 on that list, injured at the moment. That's why he's not playing. Alexis Sanchez of Manchester United. Number 2, Claudio Bravo, the goalkeeper, injured and hasn't played for Manchester City this season.
You surprised at all, Sanchez, and how he struggled at United?
Yeah, I really am.
Oh, yeah.
Just hasn't happened for him there at all. He might struggle to get back in the team when he is fit too. A big hero of Chilean football in recent years. American Outlaws out in force tonight, the famous fan group. Tremendous support wherever and whenever the team play. It's Valdez again. I think right now the US might be happy to take a draw from this game.
Well, it's going to tell me a lot what kind of subs Greg Berhalter makes, and then what do the changes look like. You know, is it going to be like for likes, or is he going to make a sub where tactically it changes the look of this team? And you said it going into halftime, and the second half has started the exact same way. They're chasing shadows right now. Look at how easy it is to play through the United States.
Castillo. Very good block in there from Miazga. But at times it looks a little bit like last-ditch stuff, and then Roldan's given it away. Picked up by Leggett, but again, that's not the most accurate of balls. And just at the moment, the plot is not working out too well for the U.S.
Oh, but when you're chasing the game and you're chasing possession, the way we saw Ecuador Thursday night against the United States wear down, now you're seeing the United States on the other end of that wear down. So now Chile's a half a step, a half a yard faster, a little bit quicker than second balls. The possession right now is wearing down the United States.
It's the 11th meeting in history between these two countries. Chile have won 5 of them, the US 3, with a couple of draws. That's the US's most famous win in the 1995 Confed Cup. Eric Winalda, the star on that night, with a couple of goals. The US had a great run in that competition that year. Is Valdez fouled? Was allowed to take it 2 yards of where the offence was. This one back well by Baird. Here's Zardes now. Baird again, not quite the right weight, but Hara couldn't intercept it. Zardes has got in again here and had a chance to put the US ahead against the run of play. Very good persistence that by Gyasi Zardes.
Absolutely, and that's all this is, because the right ball here might have been to DeAndre Yedlin, but as this ball bounces around top of the 18, Gyasi Zardes is the first one to react, and so much of a life of a number 9 up front by yourself is just looking for the half a chance, creating your own luck. All of that was Zardes being on the front foot.
Leggett with a crashing fall. So what a game for Daniel Levitz to come into. He's going to replace Corey Baird. Played in the games against Panama and Costa Rica, the first 2 games of Greg Berhalter's reign.
Right, so here's your look, and tactically there's a change. He's now going to play with 3 center backs. Reem, Gonzalez, Miazga. Yedlin will play as a right wing back. Lovitz will play as a left wing back. So now you're starting to see how Greg Berhalter manages the situation, how he looks at it. Paul Arriola will play in front of Yedlin, but he's also going to tuck in, and you're going to see Leggett play closer to Gyasi Zardes. But at times defensively, this is going to look like 5 in the back.
It will all the time. Chile have the ball, which has been quite a lot of the time. Quite a story for Lovitz. Plays for Montreal Impact, but used to play for a team called Wilmington Hammerheads a few years ago, so he's come a long way. There's going to be a break in the action there with 2 players down, Opazo and Matt Miazga. Miazga made a very good block in one of the recent Chile attacks. Plays for Reading, who are fighting relegation from the second tier in England, the Championship. I thought that was good what he said at halftime to Seb Salah, that he was excited about the challenge. Not thrown or intimidated. I'm right with you, Taylor, about the Copa America thing. If the USA can get into that as often as they can, that would be brilliant, really. Pavez. Nadal. Got a lot of 30-pluses in this team. We've been around a long time. Whether they might just tire. They did a little bit in the second half against Mexico, or is that a forlorn hope for the US? Aranguiz, beautifully done to Vidal. And Isla played in there, and Castillo is looking to take advantage. Maripan. It's one of those games really where you've got to be able to play well when you haven't got the ball, and that can be just as important at the highest level. Lovitz played it inside towards Jasizades, picked up again here by Valdez. He's had a good game. One of the changes they made tonight, it's come to him in space here, Valdez.
The biggest question mark, though, Ian, is the United States without Christian Pulisic. Do they have a playmaker? Do they have a player that can play you out of trouble, create something? We saw it a couple times in the first half. We've seen it through his time with Borussia Dortmund. But right now, the United States has become predictable. Right? So the biggest argument with the United States at the elite level is in these situations, looking uncomfortable, look at disheveled, look at all over the place when trying to play out of trouble.
But there still might be something going forward here. Curled in towards Sades. Hara getting the challenge in. Good attack there with Lovitz getting forward down that left-hand side to some effect. Leggett broke his way. Got to pick the right ball. Hara again, the man who intercepts it. Miazga, a good win for the US higher up the pitch. Can they change the flow of this game here? Areola is
work from Areola.
Yep.
Yedlin having a difficult time trying to play out of that trouble and pressure from Chile, and Areola providing that option. And now the United States have finally gotten into that final third. Now, can they build any momentum from this and try to play through Chile? That's the one thing, and we have seen the United States have 4 or 5 opportunities. A lot of it has been on the break. Very few in these moments right here where Chile's in a low block and trying to make life difficult for the United States to play through them.
Yeah, I think you can get at this Chile defense. We've already seen that, I think, in the game. But yeah, that X factor that Pulisic has missing. Making a bit of a fuss the other night against Ecuador, saying it was the first time that Adams and McKennie and Pulisic had all started together when none of them are out there now. Makes a difference.
Well, the other part that makes a difference too, what stood out to me in Ecuador, was the ability of John Brooks to play through the lines of Ecuador. You know, Omar Gonzalez is in a left-footed center back, and he's not the most comfortable playing in those spots, but John Brooks stood out. So if John Brooks is on the field tonight, is that any different? Ian, as they're knocking the ball around here, Matt Miazga just looked at the bench as well.
Yeah. Well, the last thing they want is another injury. Here's Roldan. Gonzalez closing in on 50 caps now. One of the most experienced men in this squad. Only 4 players surviving in this squad from the 2014 World Cup: Bradley, Gonzalez, Yedlin and Brooks.
And this is the first time, obviously, we've seen Omar since the debacle in Trinidad, but I had a ton of respect for Omar Gonzalez when he was one of the 4 players to speak to the media after that night.
And that took a lot of courage.
It takes real character, and I've always felt that adversity doesn't build character, it reveals character, and I don't think Omar Gonzalez got enough credit for that. Josie Altidore, Tim Howard, for the life of me, I'm forgetting that 4th. But in that moment, it's very easy to walk away and not want to speak, and Omar Gonzalez was one of those players.
He said, "I'll never be over it, but I am past it now." Seb Salazar has more on Omar.
Guys, I was in Cuba that night. I remember the look on his face when he said it was the worst day of his career. You could tell he meant it. I'll throw this back up to you on the break.
And here's Aaron Geese for Chile. proud footballing nation. They got to the semi-finals of the World Cup when they staged it back in 1962. A year that featured the infamous Battle of Santiago game against Italy. 2 red cards, any number of fistfights, police called in 4 times in the game. Probably the dirtiest game ever played in the history of the World Cup. Well, I think pretty much definitely.
Has to be.
Places up for grabs for the US with the Gold Cup coming up in 3 months' time. First competitive action in a while that'll be for the US. Nice footwork from Bradley. Remember, they used to call him General Bradley when he played in Italy for a while. Lovitz. Have the US just ridden the storm a little?
I think it's brought him a little bit of stability with the 3 center backs, and then Lovitz and Yedlin having the freedom to play as a wing back. But Berhalter's having a conversation with Michael Bradley right now, making sure that he and Roldan are on the same page, so he's not running ragged and chasing the game and then allowing Chile to play through him.
Here comes the US corner. Medel took a knock as he headed that away, and the referee thinks there was an infringement on him. Will Trapp's going to come into the midfield. I'm sure that's what the tactical word from Greg Berhalter was to Michael Bradley about how they're going to play with Trapp out there alongside. Maybe just stiffen that area of the pitch, try to get a bit more of a foothold in midfield.
Well, the question mark is going to be, how does Christian Roldan fit into this, right? Because you would expect Bradley and Trapp to sit in front of the 3 center backs, and then maybe Roldan playing in front of them.
Just as you were saying that, Roldan was looking at the bench, shrugging his shoulders and saying, what do I do, to underline your point. Yeah, that's what they've got. They've got Will Trapp in there alongside Bradley. I think that's probably a sensible idea. Just getting a little outplayed in that area of the park. We're outnumbered more than anything. Geese again picked a really nice ball. Valdez goes down, wants a free kick. He's not getting it, mind you. And then Lejeune gave it away rather frustratingly. So far, Berhalter has used 27 players in his 4 matches in charge. The only one to start every single game so far, Jasizades. Just starting to pick it up a little bit again here, the US. His Ream. Lovitz's ball was a little bit of a slovenly one, and Castillo's in here. He can lay it off. Alain Guice, everything he does has a tinge of intelligence about it. Sloppy ball that time from Vidal. Traps ball out towards Roldan. Roldan's fouled. Free kick US. ESPN's coverage is brought to you by Volkswagen, presenting partner of US Soccer. US 1, Chile 1 here. The US dominating the early stages, scoring other chances as well. Chile with an equaliser quickly and playing some nice football. It's Chile have been the better side, frankly, on the night, but the US just in the last 5 or 10 minutes, Taylor, a bit better.
Yeah, and I also think it's bringing in Will Trapp gives them 2 guys that can then play out of that. Right? So now it was so much of it was trying to have just Michael Bradley do all of that. I think that's why you see Will Trapp coming into the game. But now it's all about the spacing, because Christian Roldan's got to be that link between Bradley, Trapp, and Zardes and Lletget up front.
Guillermo Maripan, it looks like his race is run for the night, the left back for Chile. So they're going to have to make a change there. And it looks like Eric Pulgar, who started the other night against Mexico, might be coming on. That's how it happened. He came off worse in that challenge. It looked like Roldan was the one who really suffered. All energy player, Roldan. The Seattle team are top in the West in the early stages of MLS. So 2 changes coming up here. Pulgar and Sebastian Vegas to be introduced by Chile. Valdez is going to come off. He's had a good game, the number 10 there, attacking midfield player, only winning his 10th cap tonight. And Vegas, who plays for Morelia, won his first call-up 4 years ago against the USA, in fact. Vegas has gone into the left-back position. And it looks like Opazo, the man who got the goal, is being pushed further forward down the left-hand side. It's a poor ball out by Hara. Deandre Yedlin to play it in, and a little bit more on that. And there might well have been an opportunity for Sebastian Lletget on the far side. Call from Miazga, who was bought by Chelsea, you might remember, from New York Red Bulls, but they keep on loaning him out. Seems to be somewhere else every season.
Yeah, but I think the recent loan to Reading's a good one, Ian, for him. You're in a relegation battle, you're trying to defend, and in that league you've got to defend first. I actually think the loan currently for Miazga is a good one. But that's a better spell from the United States with the ball at their feet, and I think a big part of that was the tactical change in going to 3 center backs. I think Zardes is a little unlucky with that foul call, but also bringing Will Trapp into the game has brought support to Michael Bradley so they can play out of pressure.
A good reaction from Greg Berhalter to the problems the team was facing. Can it not only change the game, but win it?
Well, that's a hard thing about friendlies, Ian. You and I talk about it all the time. When you have more than 3 subs, though, it's hard to judge whether the substitution patterns change the game and when they did. Because if this is a competitive game, only 3 changes, does he make that move?
Yeah, certainly more options on nights like this.
Right, because ultimately you think he's going to bring in maybe a Christian Ramirez or a Jordan Morris, and now you're over the 3 subs, and so that's always difficult to judge, in my opinion.
Miazga picks a nice little ball inside. Just gaining in confidence, keeping the ball a little better now, the US, and you can see maybe the confidence starting to come back in, but this time Lletget's ball, it's just a misunderstanding between him and Daniel Lovitz really on that side. Inside the last 20 minutes. There's Trapp. Bradley again, already got a couple of goals this season, his first for club or country for 21 months, those. Zardes had a good game, I think, tonight. It's been lively. Set up the goal. Might have had one himself too. Probably his confidence growing from the fact that he's getting start after start and has got a coach who really believes in him.
Well, it's also as expected, Ian. He scored 19 goals a career year last year, so you knew he was going to come into this even if Greg Berhalter asked Giazzi Zardes to do a couple things differently than the way he did in Columbus, you knew he was going to be confident. I still believe, though, when the full group is there, Zardes has played himself into the conversation, but I still think that's Josie Altidor's position until Josh Sargent is ready.
Roldan's one was a little bit ambitious there.
But the one thing Greg Berhalter has done throughout his entire coaching career, Ola Kamara, Kai Kamara, now Giazzi Zardes, he's gotten the most out of that position from players that never had those kind of numbers until they played for Greg Berhalter. So that's always been interesting. But at the international level, I think it's going to be a little different. And you've got to have a guy you can play through. You've got to have a guy that is very comfortable in selfless moments. Zardes is that. I just think the biggest question mark is his first touch and his ability to hold up play. He's answered some of those questions tonight.
Yep, joining in the play all right. We're still very much in the argument. It'll be Jose Altidore, Bobby Wood, Josh Sargent, of course, who's with the under-23s, and Dom Dwyer, a yellow card issued for the challenge there. He's left Isla in a bit of a heap. Yes, love it. So you can't really complain. It's gone through the back of him. Arturo Vidal. Is it back from Castillo, working these little triangles cleverly. Look at this. Good football from Chile. It's well broken up from the US. We've got back into the game far more in the last 10 minutes. Good tactical tweaks made, which have just changed the balance a little bit, but Yedlin's run into problems there. Because it was Tyler Adams in that role the other night with an adapted role. Yedlin not really able to play that kind of game. That's not really in his armory.
But I don't think this kind of game presents that either.
Again, he was the captain for a run of games under when Dave Sarachan was in charge.
But Ian, to complete that Tyler Adams point, in a game like this, it's hard for me not to see him playing centrally, whether it's next to Michael Bradley or however you want to configure it. But with his ability and his range and how he puts fires out for Red Bull Leipzig, for the way he did for the New York Red Bulls, in a game like this, you can't convince me that Tyler Adams isn't better suited to play centrally.
Be interesting to see how that plot develops. Alan Geese to Pavez. Holgar laying it off. Vital for Chile, the way things are for their coach, that they don't lose this game tonight. Preferably, they want to win it.
How about the stories of the press conference yesterday?
Yeah.
I want you to start doing that at press conference. I just want you to start yelling at whoever the manager is. The way you yell at me every breakfast for not having your coffee black.
I think they have it tough enough, don't they, managers?
I thought you were talking about me.
They're quite well rewarded. I think they get black coffee too. Gonzalez, without ceremony, he had a little more time there, didn't he? Pulgar looking to help it on. Another player who was in the squad when they won the Copa America Centenario, staged in the United States 3 years ago. US got to the semi-finals, went out in this city, in Houston, to Argentina, you might remember. Corner here for Chile. Moment of danger. Be a problem for Horvath. And for all Chile's possession and clever football at times tonight, they've kept Ethan Horvath pretty well covered up, that defence. Hasn't had to make a lot of saves, has he? Jordan Morris is going to replace Jasizades here. Probably a like-for-like switch, with Morris playing furthest forward in the kind of number 9 role, the Seattle Sounder. Good start to the season for his club. Definitely with an eye for goal. And you'll remember he was the man whose goal won the Gold Cup the last time of asking. Vidal, it's a poor ball from him that time, because Castillo had quite a bit of room. Vegas. Big contingent of Chilean journalists here and media people. The game being beamed back live to the long, thin country down in the southwest of South America. Country of desert, mountains, and lovely coastline. Sounding a bit like a travelogue here.
I think for the next 10 minutes you should just give us a travelogue of all the countries you've been to. And by the way, speaking of the win the United States had against Chile, all of our ancestors, and yes, I'm talking about all my old teammates that are much older, they won in Copa America, not the Confed Cup.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just so you know, your phone's going to blow up.
Did I say Confed? Yes. Okay, sorry.
No, it's just that generation.
Slip of the
you can
tongue.
never be wrong without them texting you or calling you.
Oh, don't worry, it'll be.
Just get it together, would you?
Assassination job coming up on Twitter tonight.
Well, you know our good friend Casey Keller is going to be bringing up you in about 2 seconds.
The same towards Morris. Hara for Chile. Those are the substitutions on now. With a nervy clearance from Arias. That one wasn't too clever. Much more of a foothold in midfield now for the US, with Trapp in there alongside Bradley. Nasty fall for El Paso with Yedlin there. We saw that the other night with Weston McKennie, just a nasty fall over on the ankle, and the ligament damage that we've been reading about. Just one of those things. Bit of a hand, wasn't there, as well, from Yedlin in that. Hara, he's going to overrun that, surely. Lucky to get it back again.
So what stood out to me tonight, Ian, is that when you and I watched the Mexico-Chile game, Mexico could play through the pressure of Chile. Right, and the game was expansive and they opened up. Now, Chile could have scored a couple goals in the first half, I get that. But there's always going to be that comparison with Mexico under new manager Tata Martino versus Greg Berhalter in the United States. And this game's actually a good indication of where those two countries are.
See how this pans out in the closing minutes. Isla to cut it back, Aranguiz. Here's Vidal. He would chip that towards Polgar, but Matt Miazga was there. Good bit of play too by Roldan. They'll get the free kick surely here. Will trap the player down. Super mature individual, Will Trapp. If you talk to him, he's really got his head in the right place about the game. US Soccer presented by Volkswagen, continuing Sunday, April the 7th, 9 Eastern, ESPN2. Chile's US squad facing Belgium in Los Angeles. That game streaming live on the ESPN app as well. The United States, of course, building up to the World Cup. Jonathan Lewis has come on for roll down here. Morris chasing this one. Chile, by the way, I think are among the US women's opposition in the group at the World Cup. The Women's World Cup being held in France. Isla now for Chile. Long ball towards Castillo. Yasker had read that, was in the right place. Lovett's trying to run, but he's been caught out. Vidal. Lewis. Pulled back in midfield by Vegas, who has to get a yellow for that. That's a standard yellow. Cynically trying to stop an attack every time.
Yeah, but that's the one thing Jonathan Lewis has from the moment he's played for New York City. Yes, it's always been off the bench, but his ability to unbalance defenders. And listen, Patrick Vieira talked about it. Dominic Torrent talked about it, that tactically, if he progresses at a different level, he's got to start. But he's got that innate ability, Ian, no matter when he comes into the game, and maybe he's better suited coming off the bench. I think that's a good debate, but he does have a real good ability to unbalance defenders in 1v1 situations.
Only a 4th cap for Jonathan Lewis tonight, 21 years of age, and enigmatic player, I think it's fair to say.
Yep.
But with ability. Another change for Chile coming up. They're going to bring on the Colorado Rapids player, Diego Rubio, who's got 16 Major League Soccer goals to his name in his career. The changes to the chorus line are just about complete. Hope so. Vegas, strong under pressure there from Lewis, who tries to yank him back. I think he's not going to be yellow as well. Lucky it wasn't, really. Five minutes remaining. Coach, remember, has ever won his first 4 games in charge of the US men's national team. Bob Bradley 3. Same as Greg Berhalter. Trap. Maxim as Trapster tried to find a pass, and it's let Chile in a little bit here. Rubio with the ball in, Isla to play it back in again. Ream doing just about enough, but that all resulted really from a pretty bad decision. Well,
it was a bad giveaway from Will Trapp, and again, Will put himself in a precarious position. There was no real option, but losing the ball 12, 13 yards from your own goal in that spot. We've seen that far too often tonight from the United States.
Well defended again, though, by Miask, who's been quite dominant in the air. Had a lot to do, the defenders tonight, unlike in the match against Ecuador. And Sean Johnson in goal hardly touched the ball the other night. If you can't win the game, make sure you don't lose it. That's the way you've got to look at this. Trap. Not quite the right weight for Leggett. Substitution still to make. Jimmy Martinez is going to come on for them, a midfield player.
And Ian, earlier this half, when I said about the 4 players after the Trinidad loss, I couldn't remember the 4th, and of course it was Michael Bradley. So when you think about that, though, it reveals a ton of character for Omar, Tim Howard, Josie Altidore, and Michael Bradley to speak.
As choked as they must have been. Gutted's the word. Towards Rubio, just his 5th cap tonight for his country, the Rapids player. Looks like Aranguiz is going to come off here.
He's a fun one to watch, isn't he?
Good player. Oh, good player.
He's just so clever.
Technician, isn't he, in there? Which makes Chile's recent problems, well, not hard to understand, but there's an element of mystery. Flicked on by Vegas and easily dealt with by Horvath, who was revealing yesterday that he's been taking 1 or 2 tips from Manuel Neuer, his hero, the great German goalkeeper. 1 or 2 bits of advice about positioning and so on. Very aware of the long history of great US goalkeepers as well, he is. Played in the Champions League this year for Bruges. Trapp's done well there. Ream. What about these 2 games then, Taylor? What's the verdict?
This is the one that I think Greg Berhalter and his staff will study the most. And listen, the Ecuador game is needed. You need that test because you're going to go up against that in Gold Cup competition and in World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF. But this is the one. This is what you're chasing. And when I sat down with Greg yesterday, there was something interesting, and I know you picked up on it as well. He said, when the players say where they want to go, then they've got to be able to put in the work and understand how to get there. And I think this is part of that process. But this is the one out of the 4 games that I would watch, study, and understand this is where we need to get better. And I think Greg and his staff will do that.
Rubio with the cross in. Vidal's challenge a bit too muscular on Ream. He's not happy about that. He's going to get a yellow card for dissent there. He's always been a feisty character, Vidal. I remember when he played in the Champions League final, first 20 minutes, he looked like he'd been fed on raw meat before the match.
I'll take him on my team any day of the week.
Yeah. Oh.
Any day of the week. And I know I'm not going out on a limb, but when you have that competitiveness, that fieriness, this is a friendly for a player that's played over 100 times for his country, that's playing at Barcelona, and he's arguing in the 92nd minute about some foul.
Yeah, that's how
you're on my team any day of the week.
Is Lewis. And the US steal it very late on.
But Ian, in all seriousness, isn't this always the question for the United States, this test? It's not as if anything was revealed today differently than we haven't seen over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Rubio. Fresh legs out there, of course. Much involved since he came on. Isla plays it back into Arturo Vidal. Tries substituting him. He wants to be out there every second. Well, I think I said about the 55th minute of this game as the goalkeeper makes a mistake and nearly let in Morris, that the US would probably take a point from this, and I probably wouldn't change that view. And is this result and performance enough to save Rueda, the Chilean coach? That's another debate for another country, but the US do get the draw. It's not 4 wins on the bounce at the start for Greg Berhalter, but I think he'd take the draw against a technically accomplished Chilean side who came back well after conceding to Christian Pulisic after just 3 minutes of the game. Oscar Opazo with an equaliser on the 9th minute. Pulisic's injury will be a talking point as well. Much more to discuss, and that's exactly what we will do when you return.
I can't believe it.
That there's a lobster in our hot tub?
Oh, you guys. There's a jet. Oh, I needed this. No.
I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on our car insurance with Geico.
Geico. Believe it.
I pay too much and this phone is terrible.
You should really stop overpaying for wireless.
And upgrade to the brilliant iPhone XR with Sprint.
Yep, both an unlimited plan and iPhone XR for just $35 per month.
Wait, both for that price? Both?
Both.
Her first word.
And you get both on Sprint's network built for unlimited.
Switch and get both. An unlimited plan and iPhone XR lease for just $35 a month. No trade-in required.
Major League Soccer on ESPN resumes Sunday at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the LA Galaxy hosting the Portland Timbers from Carson, California. That match will be streaming live on the ESPN app as well. Early in the season, and intriguing to see the story develop. Here, a 1-1 draw between the US and Chile. They'd take that result, wouldn't they, Taylor?
Yeah, result's one thing, but it's also how they got the result and what the game looked like. When you look at the tape, and Greg Berhalter will be the first one to tell you, they got outplayed. The United States got outplayed tonight. But the one thing I'm taking away, this injury to Christian Pulisic prolongs this long season filled with adversity. What's that injury at? In both games, you lose two key players in Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, heading into the Gold Cup. Where and how do those injuries play a huge part in that roster?
Well, you'd hope that that Pulisic injury is just a precautionary, but he didn't look comfortable or happy, and why would he be? I think the McKennie one's probably a longer term, a bit more of a worry, isn't it?
You never really want to speculate on anything, right?
No, that's right. Let's go downstairs. Michael Bradley is down there with Sebastian Salazar.
Michael, just kind of overall, what were your thoughts on the performance tonight?
It's a fun game. You know, they come after you. That's makes for a fun night. You know, I thought in moments we handled things well. I thought in moments we were able to go after them. You know, obviously as we build ourselves up, it's understanding how to sustain it over 90 minutes. But again, fun night, good opponent. I thought you know, we had a lot of guys who competed hard and who went after things in the right way. So we use it as an absolute positive step in us moving forward.
Michael, thanks for the time. Very much appreciated.
No problem.
Back up to you guys.
A fun night, Michael Bradley called it, Taylor.
Well, it's going to be more fun for you and I when you tell me what kind of meats we had.
Well, that's for about half an hour's time. Pulisic putting the USA ahead. Thanks for joining us tonight here in Houston. From Taylor, Salazar, Sebastian Salazar and me, thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.